My phone is always listening to me.
My phone is always listening and paying attention to the things I say. There have been countless experiences where I have talked about something I have never even thought about before, and then within the day I see a post on my Instagram feed or an ad on Google about it. Nothing on our phones are truly private, and all of the information is shared and used in ways we may have simply unintentionally consented to. Edit. To those saying it isn't a conspiracy theory, understand it is not common knowledge, and most people, where I'm from at the very least, are completely oblivious about things like this and explain them away with other logic, whether it be their own or logic they were deceived to have.
I read that it's actually worse than the fact it listens to you. These companies know so much about you, and everyone around you, they can accurately predict what you want before you even know you want it.
This is correct. I have worked in sentiment analysis before, and it's essentially a numbers game. You put your advert out to 10 million people who have their data aggregated between multiple datasets. You have their geographical location, social media data, things that they like or dislike, conglomerate figures indicating their exact political leanings and likely sexuality, even if they don't know it themselves, and purchasing habits, as well as time to buy from seeing a direct advert versus time to buy from something related by a close friend, i.e. someone they share a lot of likes with, a lot of geographical locations with, etc. Ad companies target you not so you'll buy a product, but so you'll start a conversation with your friend about a product. People are much more likely to buy something when their friend brings it up in conversation, especially so if that person doesn't know they've been incepted. When you catch yourself talking about how good a product is sometime to a friend, ask yourself where your thoughts and words are really coming from. Chances are someone made you think them so they could sell more of that product to your friend. The majority of us still have very straightforward, simple brains and are easily distracted by shiny things.
I like to study languages, and one day I was practicing Thai out loud. Know what happened when I got on Twitter? Bunch of Thai hashtags. I disabled Google on my phone after that.
My coworker speaks Spanish. She speaks it in front of me sometimes. Half the time my ads are in Spanish now.
Alright, so this conspiracy bugs me.
Advertising algorithms are really sophisticated. It's how these companies make money, so there's a lot of focus there. If you're talking to someone about something odd, there's a good chance that either they've looked it up prior to the conversation, or they want to read more about it. The advertising algorithms know the two of you are connected in some way, so the ads you get are also dependent on the activity of people you're connected with. It might feel scary or suspicious, but for them to actually be listening and keeping track of what you're saying and then using that information to advertise would not only be massively illegal, but would also be noticeable by people who make a career of examining this hardware in depth.
It's not efficient for companies to actually do that. They would have to store too much data they would have then to process with speech-to-text algorithm, then scan for keywords. It's actually simpler than this. GAFAM are crossing their data and are able to gather everything people near you searched and typed on their phone and pair it with you if you were geographically close and know each other's. That's why you can find topics you discussed with someone pushed through ads. Also think for a minute. There are billions of smartphones out there. It would be almost impossible to store all the voice recordings and process it somewhere at the same time, or it would cost such money that exploiting it wouldn't be profitable for any company.
The truth is actually way cooler. Predictive algorithms are stupidly accurate. There's a great case from years ago where Target knew a lady was pregnant before she did, solely based on shipping habits. You think that they know you want a bathrobe because you talked about it, but in reality it's because of your previous shopping and browsing habits. Remember, your IP address isn't confidential information. If you're browsing from a friend's Wi-Fi and they look up something, Facebook can reasonably assume that you're in the room.
That's just truth though. I thought everyone knew that. Also, when your smartphone connects to the same network as other phones, you can get ads that pertain to them. Like if Carol at the office is having a baby and starts looking up baby items on her phone, you can get an ad for it. Because your phones were near each other and Carol probably told you about the pregnancy. And you'll need to get her a baby shower gift.
Hell, I've had thoughts about something, not uttering a word out loud, and it showed up as an ad a few hours later. Freaked me out even though it has to be a coincidence, lol. It was something so random and specific I couldn't recall seeing before, but I guess the mind is playing tricks, like a déjà vu or whatever.
They also listen to other people, and they have your location, and others. So you go to your friend's house, And everyone in that house is researching new toothbrushes for some reason, and you just brush it off as something not even notable. Then later that night at home, you get ads for dental products, and you think, OMG, this is insane. They were listening to my conversation. I never did anything toothbrush related. I was merely in proximity to people talking about toothbrushes. But they know that. They know your phone was in close proximity to everyone in the Smith household, and they were all looking at dental stuff, so they likely mentioned it while you were there, and the ad company knows and targets you with a dental product ad. They also know your past purchases, and searches, and where you go, and who you hang out with, and what they purchase and search for. And they use all of that information to predict what you're likely to want to see, or what ads would work on you.
My husband was talking about getting a food delivery of some really specific stuff from a frozen food shop. He had done the order and was trying to convince me it would be good, so was reading out the stuff he had chosen. I walked away and into the bedroom and opened Instagram, and on the stories there was an ad for that shop and all the stuff he had listed. It was so creepy.
Always thought this to be true, and then, 8 years ago, I started a new job working with primarily Spanish-speaking folks. Being the quiet one and that my Spanish was terrible, I was often silent apart from talking to customers. However, after a short while, all the adverts and pop-ups on whatever I was reading were all in Spanish. Never happened before, and it was kinda obvious that my phone was listening constantly.
Visited the United States for a road trip a couple of years back. We made a stop in Albuquerque and went to have a few drinks in a random bar we found that evening, but downloaded the city's map beforehand cause we didn't have any internet connectivity when we weren't in our hotel's Wi-Fi. At that bar, I complimented a bartender for his really cool sweater and asked him if he would tell me where he bought it, but he said it was a present from a friend, so he didn't know. None of us knew anybody from Albuquerque. We didn't look up that bar before, nor did we use their Wi-Fi or snap any photos while we were there. But when we came back to the hotel a few hours later, literally the first post that popped up on my Insta was an ad for the exact same sweater that bartender was wearing. Gave me the creep.
Literally, everything with a microphone is always listening. I was at my friend's house not too long ago and was telling her about a YouTuber named Eddie Burback, and how he posted a video where he went to every Margaritaville in North America. My friend had never even heard of Eddie Burback until I told her about him in that moment. About half an hour later, she turned on her TV and went to YouTube, and what pops up? Eddie's Margaritaville video.
You are not far enough down the rabbit hole. The phone actually sends signals of subtle suggestions, causing a subconscious influence in your thoughts. The things you think you need as the thoughts are unnaturally occurring to you in everyday life that you decide are worth talking about have been implanted before you even say them or realize you want them. Only then, after you notice the ads on the phone, do you think you are the organ point when it was actually a planned marketing thought inception all along.
So we always joke about this at work, and I tried not to think too much about it and thought, it's just a coincidence, because most of the time it's something I looked up. I'm a firefighter, and we went on a call of a child locked in a vehicle, and I kid you not, we come back from the call and I start seeing safety ads from NHTSA for, look before you lock.
There's times at work when I have a new site to deliver to. Let's just say 234 Forest Street, and on the way to my truck a coworker might ask where I'm going and I'd say, 234 Forest Street. When I get to my truck and start entering it into GPS, more often than not, I'll just have to type in 234, and the first suggestion will be Forest Street, a street I had never looked up or driven on before. Freaks me out, until I forget about it 5 seconds later.
Okay, here's my question in this. Are you also suggesting that voice assistants suck on purpose? If you use Alexa, Siri, Google, etc., how often does it give you exactly what you asked for when you're speaking right to it? Now you expect that same program to hear you even clearer when it's sitting in your pocket? There have been so many studies to suggest why your phone isn't listening to you at all times. The reality is your phone and all the data already knows all this stuff about you. There are so many other ways your phone can follow you, it doesn't need your voice. It knows your friends, it knows who's been on your Wi-Fi, it knows what Wi-Fi you've been on. It knows what posts you stop scrolling for an extra second to look at. Believe me, it doesn't need to listen to you, it already knows.
Someone once posted on some subreddit an image of a news headline that was like, Amazon Alexa accidentally listened to over 100 people have sex last year. And the top comment was, jokes on them, that was just me eating spaghetti, and it's still my favorite Reddit comment of all time.
What gets me riled up is that for my phone to be able to hear me say, okay Google, it has to always be listening for, okay. The same happens to me where I'll have a discussion with my SO about an actor or something, and when I go to Google it, it's the top auto-completed result after 1 or 2 letters when I never or haven't recently Googled this topic.
Fun, horrifying, true story. Some time ago, my partner and I were talking about the Chinese spy balloons in North American airspace, had an offhanded comment about secret police operating in Canada. I said something to the effect of they don't need spy balloons or anything. There's a wiretap in damned near every home. Not a minute later, the goddamned CPP called me up.